Okay, so I've come back down. I'm going to just do a single crochet in there, and I'm going to turn my work, well, I'm going to chain 3, and then I'm going to turn my work around. So you can turn your work, you can go up a stitch, you can do whatever. There's no rule here. Okay, and I'm going to do a little bit of mesh here, 1, 2, 3 chain, and I'm going to skip one and go into this one. And then I'm going to be working on this lot. So let's do 1, 2, 3 and do the same thing, skip one and do a double crochet in there. So it's going to be looking like this. And now, okay, I'll go around this one and then turn again. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. Let me come in the top here. Oops. And 1, 2, 3. I'm going to just keep going around this one. I'm going to do another one in this actual stitch here, just to keep it nicely spread out. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to skip one and I'm going to go in here. So it's starting to look like this. And I'm not trying to make a leaf or anything, this is just happening. And then I'm going to go in here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go in. Let's see, now I'm going to go in here, the bottom of this one. See, you've also got to remember how big do you want your holes. If you don't want them too big, then you have to kind of set a standard as to how big they are. That is the biggest that I want. I don't want to go bigger than that. That's the biggest hole that I'm going to have. Okay, and then I'm going to come in here just so that I don't have too big a job when I'm just going to do double crochet, so when I come back it's kind of done. In fact, I'll do 2 in here. Okay, now I'm going to turn around again. I'll chain 3 and I'm going to turn my work around, and now I'm just free-forming. I'm just going with this now, and I'm going to probably join on here. So I'm going to join this onto there, and I'll go up here a little bit, I'll come in here. This is going to take on a weird shape. I've got no idea what it's doing and where it's going, but that's how you start your garment, and then you just freeform, just go wherever. Now when it gets to a certain size where you see, just keep comparing it on your shirt. When you see, oh, I'm coming to the borders, the ends of my work, pin it on, and then you're going to have to stay where you are. I mean, I could pin this on right now. I could pin this on here, and then I've got to work with what I have. I'll have to come up here, and I'll have to be aware of where I'm turning, which is also somewhere, and you're just crocheting and you don't have your top, and you're starting, you can just free form till you know, oh, I better stop now because I better measure. So now I can pin this on here, right here, and I can start working with my garment like that. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you how to mesh stitch. If you have a whole bunch of motifs, how would you mesh stitch them together? So I'll show you that, and then we'll keep going. Alright, so now say you don't want to do it the way I've been doing it, you just want to join different motifs together. All that you're going to do to join them is you're going to use a mesh stitch, and all you do is really double crochets and single crochet into the other, or you can use chain 3s. I'll show you, it's easier to show you, but it's very simple. You're just going to be doing it like this. You're doing the mesh stitch where you just do that. Now some of my work I did, so for example on this one you can see I've just joined motifs together when I've used the mesh stitch to join them. So that's what you do. You don't add other stitches like I have in this one. So let's see, say we're going to join this one on some way. So I'll do chain 3 and I'll do a double crochet and chain 3, and you can do less, depends on how big, and then you always come under your stitch. Okay, and I'm going to do a double crochet. You can do single crochets. There's a chain 3 and then come back in here with a double crochet. So you're really going from one to the other. It's very similar, but you specifically just doing mesh, so it's just going to be like this the whole time. 1, 2, 3, and let's go to this side and go under. 1, 2, 3, come back to this side with a double crochet, and you just kind of keep it evenly spaced out. But that's all that you're doing. You're joining it with a mesh stitch like this. Now if you find it gets a bit too bulky, you don't have to just do double crochets. You can do a single crochet, and you can do one chain. You know, it's to get it to work, that it looks nice. That's basically all that you want. Now there I've got a little bit too much. I think I could have done with a single crochet in here instead of the double. See, that's where you just have to use your initiative and see. So as I say, you play with your double crochets, whether you use a double crochet or a single crochet. So now I would do chain 3, and as I say, if you have to do one chain or 2 chains, that's also alright. You can kind of see there. I'm still going to have to put another chain and then do the double crochet. Now remember, your double crochet also takes up the amount of space as 3 chains. So you've got a long, so you can see you did 3 chains and your double crochet, and you kind of end up in the middle of that stitch. And that's good, depending once again as to how big you want your holes to be. That's what you work with. If that's too big, then you don't do 3 chains, or you do 3 chains and you do a single crochet in here instead of your double, and that'll bring it in a little bit more, which is better for me. I prefer that size hole than the bigger one. So this is all you do. You mesh stitch, and then when you don't have a motif, for example, you're not going to have a motif right on top of each other. Now you can. If that's how you want to do it, you can sew them, or you can crochet them together with slip stitch or single crochet. But if you don't, you're just going to do mesh stitch one on top of each other. So I'll show you. Let's see, 1, 2, and I can do a double crochet in there like that, and then 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go into this one. You come under it, like I said. Now I've already got one in here, but I don't think it's going to hurt to put another one in, because this might be too far for me. You can see that's going to give me a huge hole. I don't want such a big one, so I'm going to do another one in the same space here. Now generally you don't usually do 2 in the one, but it's not going to hurt it. Okay, and then I'm going to come across and do 2 chains and a double crochet in here, and let's see if that's looking good. And you have to just, it's a little tedious, you got to just stop. Okay, see, they're working well here. These are spaced nicely and they're working well. I'm trying to get to where I can show you where you work on top of your mesh stitch. Okay, let's go in here where you don't have a motif to join to, because that's when it gets a little bit trickier. Okay, so now I'm going to work, and you're really going from the one to the other. Okay, I'm going to now join this one so you can see when I don't have anywhere to go. What do I do? So I'm going to join this one now, because I don't want them on top of each other. I'm going to go into the top of this, and you go underneath there. And as I say, if you need a double crochet, use it. If you need a single, use it. If you need 1 chain, 1. If you need 2 chains, 2. If you need 3, then use 3. It's totally up to you. Now, once again, you've got to flip your work over. It's very similar to what I was doing, but all you're using here is your mesh stitch, which is your chain 3s, and that you're not making, you're not using other stitches, and you're not making a dent like this. So let's do another 3. 1, 2, 3. But I'm wanting that to be down here, and I've got nothing here, so I'm going to work with this mesh. So now you'll come back in here and you can do a double crochet. Now sometimes you have to do a treble because it's too far, your stitch won't stretch that far, you double crochet, then you do trebles. But this, as long as it's like this, you just do that, and I'm just going to do double crochet in there. Oops, I'll show you now. Okay, and see, that's working now. And then you'll join it on here. 1, 2, 3. And let's see. I'm going to have to go in here, and you can kind of see what it looks like. If I go in there or there, we'll go in here. And once again, this is freeform. Don't feel that it's got to look perfect, because it's not. This is still abstract work. You just stick into one stitch. Oops. Okay, so you can see you're really making little squares like that. It's called mesh stitch. And there are different ways of making that mesh stitch too. So, but yeah, then when you have to turn your work around, like now I can get another one in here. I can get another stitch there. 1, 2, 3, and I come under mine. Okay, now that can stay there. I want to come back because I want to fold this in. So you'll flip your work around. And I'm going to work on this side now. So now I'm coming back. And as you can see, that's all I've done is just my mesh stitch. 1, 2, 3. Now, when you're turning around, sometimes you don't get the best looking stitch. For example, if I went in here, you're going to have a funny little curl there. So you got to use your initiative. I find if I make 4 chains or 5 chains and I go into this one, it works pretty well. See there? Then it looks fine. So I make a few extra and I miss this one and I go into that one. Okay, now I'm going to just keep going across. And I'm going to go into my next stitch here. And when that's facing me like here, I go on top of the stitch. You'll see when you do it, it works. And whether you go under or on top, it's free form, it doesn't matter. Okay, and I'm going to go in here. And that's all that you do when you're joining it with mesh stitch. And see, it just gives you a very different look to what this is. This is just very different. I love this too. I mean, it's a lot lacier. And you can do this as part of yours, and you can do it with the other stitch. In fact, I might just keep this on here. I think I will. I'll just keep it on here like that. And I'll have these 2 motifs on and then start doing the rest of my free form. But that's all you do. So now I'm going to join it on here, and then I'll probably come back over here, join it, go back. And that's all you're doing with your mesh stitch. And as I say, it's just slightly different. And you can see on this top, I had a lot of mesh stitch here because I didn't have a motif there. I had big motifs which I used, and I just joined it, and then you just go into your mesh stitch. You chain 3 single crochet, double crochet into your 1 loop, and that's it. So yeah, that's how you do it that way. So once you've got your one side done, I'll show you what to do with the other side.